Welcome back to Happy Radio. This is The Late Show with me, Talina, and I am super excited to welcome my guest for this evening, the legendary Liz Taylor, high-profile events expert, podcast host, motivational speaker, and author. Hello.
What a wonderful welcome. Good evening to you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, I'm so happy that you're here. So we're going to get right to it because I know that me and you already will probably keep talking nonstop if I let us. So the first question I have for you is, of course, you're really well known for the events you do in Manchester and Cheshire, as well as all over the world. But where has been your favourite place to do an event in Manchester or / Cheshire?
I think it's very difficult to actually identify my favourite place. I mean, I've been doing this since 1986, so you can work out the maths.
Yeah.
And I have been fortunate to travel all over the world, and the high profile and celebrity stuff has evolved as a result of my event business. I think one of the most challenging was Moscow, when Manchester United got into the Champions League final. And if you read my book, Tailor Made, because we haven't got time to go through it all here, it is the most bizarre story.
Really?
I don't think it's a place that I would go for a holiday, but it was definitely one of the most challenging places. The other place that I adore is Istanbul and Marrakesh. So I've worked there. Manchester and Cheshire, there are loads of places. We're surrounded by Cheshire countryside. You've got Tatton Park.
Yeah.
You've got the Victoria Warehouse, which is urban, which is in Manchester city centre. So there are loads of places. But of course, it's the secret, Talina, is what you do with the venue,
Yeah.
not the venue that you necessarily go to.
Of course, you are the magic touch. Can I just quickly say, you were saying about Moscow and Man United getting in the Champions League. So did that have to be like quite a last minute quick thing that you did? Because obviously we weren't sure if they would get in or not.
So I had worked for Manchester United since 1995. If ever they got through to an FA Cup final or a Champions League final, they would organise a party irrespective of whether they won or lost. Me not being a football fanatic and fan, thought that every May I was going to do this massive party for Manchester United because 4 years on the run, they got through to the final. So it was the 5th year that I realised that you had to qualify. You have 2 weeks. You have a 2-week lead-in. But and it's very, very difficult. And they sent me out to Moscow to renegotiate with the hotel. Then I had to come back and I had to organise it. But I can't tell you all the secrets. You have to read about it.
Read the book.
Please read the book.
What is the most bizarre or unusual event you've ever done?
That is so difficult to answer because, listen, we make dreams come true. We turn the fantasy into reality. So to you, some of the creativity, or to the listener, would be bizarre. So when I did a party for a girl that wanted Narnia, I built Narnia. I built the wardrobe. You walked through the wardrobe. You were guided by the Queen. You walked through the mink coats into Narnia. When I did Wicked, I had an 18th birthday party and I built the set from Wicked that was on stage set. And then the wall dropped and you went down the yellow brick road and Diana Ross was on the stage. So, you tell me what's bizarre. My world is bizarre.
That is mad.
It's very difficult to choose one.
Yeah. I mean, they sound incredible already. Narnia, Wicked, Diana Ross, like, wow, Chef's Kiss, good. I've started saying this thing recently, Chef's Kiss.
I like that.
Before we play a little bit more music, I want to ask you, how has your business evolved over the years? Because you say you've been in this game for a while.
I started as a single mum with 2 children, 2 and 3, and from a divorce where I thought I was fairly secure and I wasn't. And I know I keep harping back to the book, and it's just come out as an audio book, so it's available. And it really is, it's a great story. It's something I wanted to do and I wrote during lockdown. But I started out of necessity and I had no money. And I was given an opportunity to organise a bar mitzvah for a friend of mine. And I did it. And she said to me, "You're really good at this. Why don't you do it?" And that's how it started. No one was doing it. I was the first one in the Northwest.
Yeah.
Granada Studio Tours was on the drawing board. I saw the opportunity and the rest is history.
Welcome back to The Late Show on Happy Radio. I am here with Liz Taylor, the events planner of Manchester and Cheshire. So, of course, we've spoken about the events side of your life and career, but You're also a motivational speaker, and a very good one at that. I can feel it in your energy anyway. But what is one quote you live by?
Can I give you two?
Yeah, go on. Why not?
Well, first one, the most important one, is that you can never fail. You only ever learn. So nothing, and that's very important because people see failure as a negative, and I don't. I see it as a positive because I've learned from it.
Yeah.
And the second thing is always, always go by your gut.
Oh, yes. But you know what? I feel like I'm going to end up getting a therapy session in a second, so I need to shut up. But you know what, though? What happens if you have a gut instinct and you're so sure about it, and then you end up being wrong, and then you're like, I can't trust my gut?
You learn. It's that whole gut failure learn thing. You learn.
Yeah.
And it's very rare that your gut instinct steers you down the wrong path. It might not be a straight path, but everything I've done has been on my gut instinct. And you've got to have balls. You've got to be a tough cookie. But yeah, it's, every cloud has a silver lining. So you asked me what the two quotes were.
Love
You
them.
can never fail and you go by your gut.
I like it. I like it. So your book, Tailor Made, is out, and the audiobook's just come out, as you just mentioned. Why did you want to create this book and share your story?
Well, two reasons. First of all, we were in COVID. It was something I'd always wanted to do, and I had the time to do it. And I found COVID very therapeutic for me because I did lots of things. I started a podcast, I wrote my book, I took my time. A lot of people see what you see is not what you get. They see sort of this, Cruella de Vil, Devil Wears Prada type person who waltzes in a fur coat and drives a Jag car and, has got some nice handbags. And it's a perception.
Yeah.
But I started off as a single mum. I had no support. I had no money. I had two disastrous marriages, and the most recent one was totally disastrous, where I opened a Pandora's box.
Right.
And interestingly enough, he was the one during the marriage that always said, you should write a book, you should write a book. But and so I took the opportunity, and it was very cathartic. And it's my story. I had a very troubled childhood. I was very privileged. I went to private school. My father was a judge, but he was a bully. And it's the whole story. And I was supported. I mean, Eamon Holmes has written the most brilliant prologue for me. And then I wrote a little bit, and I'm proud of it. It's true. No one can sue me because there's nothing in there that isn't true. And it's quite an eye-opener. And I also think with mental health at the moment, and so many people struggling, both with marriages, relationships, workplaces, and all that, it's just... It justifies, it can work, it can happen. And so, yeah, so I do hope you listen to it because you'll love it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I love reading, so I probably will actually read it with my eyes.
You'll read it in a day, honestly. Some people have had the most wonderful messages, and I didn't do it for fame. I'm not an author, and I did it because I wanted to.
Yeah. Well, I'm very much looking forward to reading it, and I'm sure everyone listening will also be really looking forward to it. I could honestly talk to you for ages, and I feel like I want you to be my life coach. But unfortunately, we can't. We've got to play some more music. But thank you so much, Liz, for coming on Happy Radio and for being who you are, which is absolutely badass. And I was about to swear, but I can't because it's the radio.
Thank you so much for having me, Talina. And when you do your podcast, make sure that I'm included.
I will.
Loads of love.